Good evening and welcome to Grounded Football, the LFC edition. It's Monday night. It's 10 o'clock. We're back on YouTube. We're back on Twitter. We're back on Twitch. We're back on Facebook. We're everywhere. So this evening, guys, I'm joined by my two usual co-hosts, which is Doug. How are we, Doug?
I'm doing tickety-boo, my friend. Looking forward to the season starting on Saturday for the Reds. How are you?
I'm really good, mate. Just before we came on air, me and Dave were just chewing the fat over tonight's performance. That's really put a spring in my stride for tonight, mate. So I was really, really pleased with that. It was a really strong end of pre-season performance, but we won't do that now. We'll get into that in a little minute. Rack, how are we? Another one of my co-hosts. How are we, buddy?
Really good performance. So that's what me in a good mood. So eager, looking forward to the weekend, and looking forward to chat to you guys.
And last but by no means least, how could you put this? No one puts Dave in the corner. This guy's got more energy than the other three of us put together. So welcome, Dave. It's really good to catch up with you again, mate.
Oh, it's absolutely great to be here, lads. I'll try and give you some of the energy. I was sucking it from Anfield tonight. I'm drinking Millie's Ribena, and I'm just in cloud nine, just looking forward to the Premier League, lads. Just looking forward to it. We're in a good place. We're in a good place.
We absolutely are. So I'm going to start with, as I always do, with some little banners, and I'm going to touch base with you guys. And what I don't want you to do, because we'll do this for 10 minutes or so, is just splurge out 6 names. There's got to be one player that all of us have really taken a shine to in pre-season, what they've achieved, and how they've turned their career around, or what promise there is in the future. Yeah. So I'll start with you, Dave, because I've spoken to these two guys about the squad at the moment on a number of occasions. Pre-season, one player. The round one, who's the guy that's made the most impact for you and why?
Well, it's hard just picking one, but I think Naby Keita is key for us. I really do. Naby lad. I think if Naby can stay fit, I mean this is the key, isn't it? If he can stay fit, he would give us a new dimension. I mean, this guy, if you think I've got energy, this guy is Duracell, baby. This guy is Red Bull. I mean, this guy's a 6-pack of Red Bull. But if we can keep him fit, it gives our midfield a new dynamism. It just gives us so much in midfield that we were missing last season. The key, as I said, as we know, I think he's only played something like 52 games in total in 3 seasons, which is poultry. And I mean, if we can even keep him 75% fit, it just really bodes well for us. And for me, Naby Keita, he looked good in pre-season, really good, looked good yesterday. Wasn't doing that in silly dynamism. I just think Naby is key. As I said, there's other players that stood out for me, but I've been watching Naby for 3 years. I watched him at Leipzig the year before he came to Liverpool, and even when we signed him, he was the man I wanted. He was the man. We spent big money on him. This is Naby's season. It's a make or break season for Naby, and I'm hoping he does.
Just on that subject, Dave. Obviously, we've had him for 3 years. I think we're all waiting for him to spark, all waiting for the Naby that you watched at Leipzig.
Yeah.
I don't think last season's the way we set up helped him. I think he needs to play in the same for Ox, where the game's more compressed and they're electric over 5 yards, and I mean genuinely electric. Both got really good balance. I genuinely think that's where that guy comes into the game. So with pushing the back line 30, 40 yards further up the field, does that help Naby next season, do you think?
Well, absolutely. But I mean, as Klopp and as we know, lads, it's all about options. We didn't have many options last year. They were all injured. So, it's about options for Liverpool. It's having more and more options. You're allowed to have 9 players on the bench this season in the Premier League. You can only use 3, and you have 2 concussion subs as well. But it's still having the 9 players on the bench, the different options. Naby brings that. I think Naby starts actually against Norwich, to be fair, in midfield on Saturday. I think Naby's in there with Fabinho and Milner. That's my 3. But we'll talk about that later. But I mean, he's impressed in pre-season, as I said. But the thing about Naby is his link play. It's just link, touch. He's got skill. He can even go by players. He can score goals. I've seen him do it all. He can get sent off even. He's that good. But I mean, for me, it's energy. It's the energy he brings to the pitch. It's that dynamism, the dynamic. That's what we signed him, the dynamic midfielder. That's what we signed. We haven't seen much of it, but I'm hoping this season, guys, I'm just praying this season we see some of the Naby that we've all missed.
I hope you're right, man. I really hope you're right. And some really good points well made there too. Rack, pre-season for you, who's the one that's caught the eye?
Well, I mean, just quickly, just following from Dave, I swore to myself that I wouldn't get sucked into the Naby hype, and he's just sucked me back in. So I'm ready. I'm ready for Naby to hurt me again. Fuck it. Let's. I agree with Dave. He will be great. Obviously, if we want to talk about different players as well, Tsimikas has done well, and it's the first time I think most of the fan base has had a decent chance to see him play a substantial number of minutes, and we haven't seen much of his defensive game, but certainly offensively, the crosses that he whips in, they're dangerous. And let's not forget, of course, it's the Greek league, but he was the Greek Player of the Year, and if he can, he'll get an opportunity now. It looks like Robbo's going to be out for a few weeks, so let's see what he can do. I'm positive about him, and he's impressed me a lot in pre-season. So let's see.
I would agree. Just touch on the Tsimikas before we come to you, Doug. COVID, injury, and I was thinking about this earlier because I knew this name would come up tonight, and if you guys didn't do it, I was going to do it anyway because I think it's a good conversation piece. I think with the problem we had central defensively last season, it was probably perceived too big a risk to put a guy in there at left back when Andy Robbo was probably the most experienced defender we had, and probably the guy that gets what we're trying to do and understands what Klopp wants to do out of all of the people that played along the back four, certainly for the second half of last season. So I think COVID, injury, and our defensive predicament, I think some of our fans judged Tsimikas too early. We haven't seen him, have we? But now we've seen him. What a ball in for Bobby tonight, by the way, of the little 1-2 attacker. Tremendous. And I was sat there with a smile on my face tonight. And to be honest with you guys, there were times last season you didn't know where the next smile was coming from. So I really enjoyed tonight, and I think it's a really good shout, Tsimikas. Doug, over to you, my friend. Who's caught your eye?
Harvey Elliott for me. I think this kid is going to be extra special. So unlucky not to score yesterday against Athletic Bilbao. The one where he kind of dinks and turns on his left and then hits a shot that I think is going in, and it hits the underside of the crossbar, which kind of sums up his luck. But I think he's had a great preseason, and I'm really looking forward to seeing him play. I like the fact that he's actually kept on that midfield role that he played at Blackburn. I think he started out as a sort of a winger at Blackburn and then kind of moved into midfield. I think he's getting a lot of joy there, so that could be something to look forward to. But this guy is going to be a very, very extra special talent. I agree with Tsimikas. I think he's had a very good preseason as well. I think he's probably likely to start on Saturday. And to be honest, I wouldn't have any qualms about him starting. You could probably say Cade Gordon as well. He's been terrific, I think. 16 years of age, doesn't even look phased on the ball. He looks really, really good. We've got some very, very good youth coming through. And also it's Owen Beck's birthday today as well. So happy birthday to Owen. I think he has been fantastic as well.
Wow, that was quite a succinct summing up of half of the squad.
He only wanted one. But by the way, just I want to say about Tsimikas. Tsimikas is a DHL delivery boy. Those deliveries were beautiful, baby.
They were on the money, weren't they? I'm gonna echo Doug's sentiments. I tweeted at the weekend that Harvey Elliott is a special talent because when he's got the ball at his feet, what he sees is different to all the other players, and that's how you know when someone's a special talent. You can see a pass, the trickery and the skill, tremendous. Obviously, if that goes in, even better. Sometimes in pre-season friendlies, they're almost more exciting when they come back off the bar because they get an ooh and an ah and what could have been, and they kind of make you think, wow, imagine if that had gone in. He is an absolutely tremendous. If we'd paid £50 million for him, our fans would be buzzing right now. If that was a signing we'd made this summer for £50 million, and he shows you that he's fearless, and that's what these kids are, absolutely fearless. So tremendous. It would be a Harvey Elliott for me. Dave, we have to sit and listen to a question every single week from a certain member on our comments panel. So I'm gonna let you answer this one because I think the rest of us have fed up of fending this one off. So here we go. You ready?
Go. Oh, for fuck's sake. Oh, fuck off. That's my answer to that one. Oh, no chance. Sorry for coursing, lads. It's an Irish thing. Sorry, but no chance. Next.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly
Next.
right. That's the one we want. That's the one we want. This is the difference maker. This guy would be Dave. We've spoken about this. Whilst this is on screen, it's a really good point. How key is that to making it better, changing it for us?
Sol Miguez from Atletico. Do you know what? It was on fire about a month ago. It's gone very cold. This transfer rumor. He's very similar to Thiago. I just don't know whether Liverpool will pay 50 million. He's on big wages. He's on $250,000 a week. It's not an FSG signing for me. I can't. I'm sorry, and the people I've been talking to don't see him at all coming to Liverpool at all. I do like him as a player. I do like him as a player.
To be fair, Dave, anyone can basically get that amount of money. Look at Jack Grealish getting £369,000 a week.
Yeah, but he's English.
Yeah.
There's the answer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I just don't see the soul when I just don't see it. He's a good player, but I don't see it. I see someone like Jared Bowen, someone like that.
But I'm not sure about Jared Bowen. The thing with Sowell is he would have to do what the rest of the club's done, which is reduce the base salary but be paid on incentives. Because as we've spoken about this, Rack and I have spoken about this a number of times. We're in the top 5 wages in Europe if we win trophies. If we don't, we're nowhere near it. That's what he'd have to do. That something must have gone massively wrong at Atletico Madrid, because he signed a 6-year contract 2 years ago. And 2 years ago, it was absolutely inconceivable that they would even consider selling that guy, because he was the fabric that club was being built around. But we do know that Simeone's an emotional man. Something must have gone on in the club that makes it okay for Atleti to listen to offers. Look, if it happens, brilliant. It strengthens our midfield. And if it doesn't, if you haven't seen enough in pre-season to know we will be okay, then I don't know what you've been watching, because okay, we didn't beat the team at the weekend, we didn't beat Bilbao at the weekend, but we should have done. We created enough chances. We're making like 50 substitutions a match, which is really having a problem in terms of fluidity and getting the system going. But if we get him, brilliant. If we don't get him, the Senevi, life goes on, no issue. So it's round 2 of the pre-season. Who's caught your eye? So you get a chance to speak about somebody else, but Doug's going to sit this in the next 6 rounds out because he's already done his 7 players. So you've got the time it takes these two to tell me number 2, mate, to come up with yours. So I'll come back to you, Dave. Obviously, who else has caught your eye? Who's sort of whetted the appetite for the coming season?
Well, we've just mentioned him, the DHL delivery man, Tsimikas, the Greek international. For me, because he's come in at the right time to a bit of form, because obviously Robertson's injury, as well. We needed him. We'll need him to play against Norwich at the weekend. I knew he was a good player. I seen him playing before he came to Liverpool, when Liverpool were looking at him, and he came in. He hasn't, as you said, injuries, and he had COVID and stop-start. Didn't help him. Apparently, he was finding it hard to fit in. I was reading about as well at Liverpool. But I think this guy, I think he's got it. I think he's got that bit of X factor that we need. Now, he's not Andrew Robertson, but who else is really Andrew Robertson? But he's a good backup for Andrew Robertson. And we're going to need him for the next few weeks, because it looks like Robbo's out for at least 3 or 4 weeks. Luckily, it's only 3 or 4 months. But no, he's really impressed me. As I say, his deliveries, first time, bang, into the box. That was a great win for Bobby tonight, and that was delicious. It was a delicious ball in tonight. I won't need supper after that ball in. It was so nice. And that's a big thing for me. He was even taking shots, but he was defending at the right time, and he was attacking at the right time, which is very important. He wasn't getting caught out of position that much, which is big for me. And I think he has a big part to play this season, Tsimikas.
I would agree. I think there'll be times when Robbo needs a rest, because he's been doing it for 3 years. And you're right. It's good news that it doesn't require surgery, and it is an impact injury. And once all the blood's out of the muscle and the swelling's gone down, we're looking at 3 or 4 weeks. But you know what? Yeah. We've got cover. Last season we lived in fear of something happened to Robertson, but we didn't realise what we had. And, he's been really, really good. So I would agree with that one. Rack, your number 2 nomination for your favourite over the pre-season would be?
I'm gonna cheat and say give 2 names, just because the rule's already been broken. But look, if we're going to challenge, it's really important that Sadio recaptures the form that he had before, and it's important to know also whether last season Sadio is the shape of things to come, or whether it was an anomaly, and we're going to get our our normal kind of left winger back, and the signs are really positive. So if we're going to challenge, we need Sadio, and Sadio looks like he's back. So that break seems to have done him well, and I'm really, really happy about that, because I think that spells good things moving forward. And just an honourable mention for Taki, because again, he just looked neat, tidy, composed. I'm still not convinced long term, because obviously we need more of a body of evidence, but he's just looked really useful, and maybe the determination, he's been here for a year and a half. Maybe the penny's dropped, or maybe he's finally used to the physicality a little bit. And I don't know, but let's see.
With regards to him, his loan move obviously has done him the world of good. It's allowed him to adjust to the physicality, like you say, of the Premier League. I thought when he played for Liverpool in the early days, he was making some, I'll call them interesting runs. And people were coming on social media saying why they're not passing to him. Well, there was a reason why, because what he was doing wasn't conducive to the system and to the plan. But Klopp's a loyal man. He's not going to throw people under a bus or throw them out the door for nothing. That's evidenced by the fact that Origi's still at the football club. And there were times tonight, the ball was fired into Origi and he brought it down on his chest and played other people in. And then I wanted him to go again and do something different. And he's kind of admiring his chest control and his pass. And I want him to spin off the defender and go in behind him. And just that impetus and that intensity isn't there. So, I think that's. I think Taki will be an interesting addition to the squad this year. Right, Doug, you've had plenty of time to find another player within the squad. Who else has done it for you, mate?
Ibu for me. Ibrahima Konate. I think since he's come in, he's just an absolute boss, isn't he? He's going to be very, very important this season. I think he'll start at Norwich. I really do. I think he might start at Norwich. But the couple of games I've seen him play, he just looks really, really calm and composed on the ball. I suppose I should go for another one. Matip for me has been good as well. That is absolutely ridiculous, by the way.
Well said. I noticed Dave put his head in his hands. Right, I'm going to take this off the screen now. Listen, guys, we love your comments. We absolutely love them, but we're not going to give this the time or of day. We'll treat it with the contempt it deserves, because they're not even in the same bracket, mate. Not even.
Oh my God!
Well said, Rachel. We did not claim that fan. Please don't, because we're clearly deluded. Okay. So for my second choice, I'm going to look at the Ox, and I'm going to be campaigning for the Ox this season. Sort of played in a false nine, had a bit more of a roaming role tonight. There was one situation where he got danced around the guy by the byline and put the ball across, and Origi held off the defender, and then Beck had a shot which was charged down and went out for a corner. When Ox is playing like that, he's got quick feet, he's got explosive pace over a couple of yards, and genuine pace anyway. I think the compressed team that we've got now with the back line playing higher up the field really, really suits him. He gives us a completely different option. I thought Jota would be the man to challenge Bobby in the centre, but I think Jota's more of a challenge for Mane. I don't think the central role suits him. I think we could see Ox playing there a couple of times this season, certainly in cup games where he's not had a run of games in the first team. Bobby looked sharp tonight, and if Bobby can carry on being sharp, Bobby stays in the side. Simple as that, because he's pivotal to what we do, and we know that Klopp's got a Bobby tattoo somewhere. He's got to have one. He absolutely loves him, doesn't he? So overall thoughts on pre-season, Dave? Not players wise. Overall thoughts on generally what we've seen.
I've been impressed. I've been very impressed. I even watched the badminton the other day with Salah won. That's the will to win. That fella just wants to win at Monopoly, Tiddlywinks, just anything he steps into, he wants to win, doesn't he? If he's in a queue at Tesco, he wants to be at the top of the queue. Salah's just unbelievable. He has to be first. He has to be first everywhere. So for me, a load of things. The energy was there for Liverpool in this pre-season. Everybody looks fresh. As you said, Mane, Salah, train a proper pre-season for them, which is rare. And we need it. Mane was tired last season. It looks like he's got his rest and he's got his mojo back. Salah will always have his mojo anyway. But Bobby's happy. His teeth are white. He's so, he looks fresh as well. I mean, everybody just looks full of energy, fresh and ready to rock. And I think this is going to be a good season, guys, no matter who comes in. I mean, we've a lovely group, as Klopp calls them now. We've a lovely group there. I think the only thing that can derail us is bloody injuries. If we can keep players fit in key positions, the likes of VVD, Alisson, the spine of the team, Hendo, these type of players, Salah, I think we have a big season coming up, lads. I'm really, really looking forward.
Brilliant. I love that, mate. I love that. Love the positivity. How could you not be positive after listening to Dave there? Absolutely right. Rack.
Yeah, I mean,
general thoughts, mate.
Also, the pre-season has gone really well. Like I've been in a couple of panels in the past where they've been a little bit unsure about the way that Klopp structured it with the 60-minute games, but I think that's worked really well, and it's given everybody ample game time rather than have the first team play 60, 70 minutes and then people coming on for 20 minutes here and there. And the fact that the guys have all been together, Thiago commented on it the other day, that it's just given, outside of the whole Premier League, the intensity of Premier League competition, it's given people a chance to get to know each other. Ibu's obviously he's a new boy, and even Elliot and some of the other youngsters, they're either new or have been away for a while, perhaps haven't spent as much time around the first team as others. So it's given them an opportunity to bed in and get comfortable. Even if the youngsters go back into the underage squads, at least it kind of gives them a bit of an intro into the first team, and they feel wanted and needed. So yeah, no comments, no complaints at all. It's worked really well.
Absolutely. And Doug, your thoughts on what we've seen?
Yes, I would probably go and say it's probably been one of Klopp's best pre-seasons since he's been at the club, I would say. Everyone seems to be getting a chance. Everyone seems to be getting along with each other. And there was a nice wee moment, I think, in Austria where I think it was Salah and Tsimikas are actually right together on bikes. So it looks like Salah's got a new best friend in Tsimikas.
Bromance, baby.
Bromance, yeah. Because obviously he had it with Dejan Lovren. So it's a very, very good group. It's a very, very good group. Obviously, we can talk about, I think Phillips and Shaqiri weren't involved tonight, which kind of asks me, I think they could probably be on their way. I think probably. I wouldn't be too surprised if you can say, I wouldn't be too surprised if you could see something happening this week or maybe next week. I think there will be outs and ins hopefully before the end of August.
I would agree. In answer to our channel owner, Indiana, yes, Liverpool can make the top 4. Yes, Liverpool can make the top 3. Yes, Liverpool can make the top 2. And yes, Liverpool can make it to number 1. Don't sleep on Liverpool. Really don't do that. That's really, really shows a little bit of naivety. We're back. Don't worry about that. We'll be fired up. For me, I think for pre-season, I think the thing for me is that we've got the 2 long-term injuries back. Both of those guys have been physically competing for balls in the park, even though they're friendlies. Joe Gomez put himself about a bit physically tonight, which is really good. Because the one thing that stands out with injuries more than anything else is that psychologically, when you go in, and I have had a serious knee injury when I played football, psychologically, when you go into a challenge, you don't know what your body's going to do. So you come out the other side of it, you're okay, you get yourself back on your feet, and you go and put another challenge in, and every single game you grow in confidence. I agree with, I think it was Doug who said it earlier, I don't think either of those 2 start against Norwich, quite simply because they don't have to. We'll just go with Matip and Konate, and Konate looks like an absolute monster. There was a thing on about 70 minutes today where he got himself into a bit of a mess, and he must have ridden 7 challenges before getting the ball to something. Yeah, and I just thought to myself, he's just a beast, really, really strong guy. So for me, Dave, you will remember when we used to win everything in the 80s. We never won a game in pre-season. Never won it. Shamrock Rovers used to beat us 4-0.
I was at the game. Shamrock Rovers, by the way. Listen, I mean, I don't put a huge amount into pre-seasons, but what I do put a lot into is the camaraderie, the laugh and the badminton games, everybody getting on, like Doug said, the energy coming out of the camp. The results are one thing. You don't want to lose games. Nobody wants, even Mickey Mouse games, you don't want to lose them. But it's the energy, it's the levels. Everybody's talking, everybody's being positive, everybody's saying the right things. Klopp's saying the right things. They're all saying the right things at the end of it. The young lads are blending in nicely. So there's a lot more than just the results in pre-season. Because as we know, we used to have terrible pre-seasons. I remember, I think the year we won the league, we had a terrible pre-season. So who really cares about it? But it's about getting your fitness up and your energy levels and your positivity. And I think we've done that in spades, baby.
Absolutely right. Dave, while you're speaking, Indiana's comment, serious note, he's worried about Mane and Mo leaving for the AFCON, especially when you only really have Jota to fill in. That's a good point. That's a good question, to be fair.
It is. That's why I still think we're going to bring a forward in. I really do. I think we're going to bring someone, an attacking player. Maybe, anybody can play across the front three, really. Someone, I know you don't like Jared Bowen, but he can actually play right across the front. You know what I mean? Someone like that. I'm not saying Jared Bowen himself, but a similar type of player. It obviously depends what happens to Origi, because Origi, I just don't think, to be honest, has done it over the last 2 seasons. So we will need to bring in an attacking player, because I think that's in late January, I think, is the AFCON. We still will have the January window, but I'd like someone in before at the bed in, to be fair. But it is a bit of a worry. It is a bit of a worry.
Did the Premier League have that winter break again?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think that helps us. I think this side's about intensity and momentum. We've spoken about this before. They'll be doing double training sessions this season. They couldn't do them last season. I genuinely think that intensity and that will to work and that desire to work, we lost that last season, and I think that had a big impact on us. And before we carry on, evening, Latimer's Prime, my friend. How are you? Hope you're good. Thanks for joining us. Sunset Boulevard says Liverpool tonight. Tasty. I think we all agree with that.
Tasty. Very, very tasty. They're very tasty.
Dave, I was really hoping you'd give us a song tonight. I didn't give you that one, but thanks very much.
A good 80s ad. A very good 80s ad. I love the 80s, you know that.
Absolutely. Right, I'm gonna test you guys on this one. So, rival fans are discounting us. We are, as we like to be, under the radar again, because we're not in the running for winning the Premier League, according to the people that count, as the saying goes. And what would you want, number 20 or number 7? So we'll start with you, Doug. If you could give me your thoughts on under the radar.
Can we know
underdogs?
In all honesty, one of the ones I would like to get is number 20. I think to get on level with Manchester United after being, behind them for so long, having to wait 30 years to win a Premier League. I would love to get number 20. I would go for number 20.
Absolutely.
I like the way you said that, because you're very mindful of the fact that the Devil's Avocado and Indiana, who are joining us tonight, they're Madman United fans. So that was very, very politically correct the way you answered that, mate. 20 would be nice. It would. Dave, saying to you, you can answer the 20 and number 7, but you sit on Twitter the same as I do. You see the disdain that other fan bases, particularly, I'm sorry, Latimus, but particularly Chelsea, seems to have dismissed Liverpool out of hand at the moment. Your thoughts on those two things?
Well, I'm delighted they didn't dismiss us. It's beautiful. I like underdogs, whatever you want to call us. But I mean, I'd like 27, by the way. 27, that's what I'd like. But no, listen, let them, that's their own. Let them do what they want. I don't care. As Klopp said about signing players, now let them sign who they want. All we care about is our group in Liverpool. All we got to do is keep our eyes on ourselves, do the right thing, play the right football. Go into every game thinking we're going to win it, which we probably will win it, and we'll be okay. I really do think we'll be okay. I'd like number 20 if you're asking the question, because as Doug just says, we'd be right up beside United, and they're a good bit behind us. What, have you got 3 European Cups? We've 6?
Yeah.
So something like that. So 20 would be nice, yeah.
Go on, Rack, you picked 2 out of there for me.
Look, there's only really 6 teams that can win the Champions League, and realistically, there's 3, maybe 4 teams if you include United.
Before you go on, Who are the 6?
Oh, who are the 6? Oh, the 4 English teams and PSG and Bayern. I don't think Atletico Real or Juve or Barcelona have a chance. To be honest, they're in disarray, so I don't think they're capable of doing it. And if you're one of 6 teams that can potentially win it, there's no reason why we shouldn't go all in for that. But similarly, there's only 3, maybe 4 teams who can win the Premier League. So I'm not saying I'm gonna pick one or the other, because ultimately, if we win one of those, it's going to be a successful season. I would prefer the league, but go for both, because we will go for both. So.
And again, another objective comment from Indiana. I'll never count Klopp out best manager in the league by a mile, which I completely agree. I think what we need to do with the second part of this question is just qualify that, in my opinion, and you guys feel free to jump in after I've finished. If you handed Klopp £500 million tomorrow, he wouldn't spend it. It's not what he's about. He doesn't want to go and sign prima donnas. He wants to create Maradonas, So his idea would be to go and spend 15-20 million on a player that we've been watching and turn him into a superstar, Andy Robertson style. It's not wrong to go and buy big players like Guardiola's done. And listen, I'm not someone who's going to jump on the bandwagon and call him a fraud, because he clearly is a very talented manager, but he's bankrolled. Anyone who can spend £200 million on fullbacks, and you spend the second £150 million because you got the first ones wrong, then that's an admittance that doesn't always work. But I don't think Klopp would want that kind of money anyway. And I think
no. I actually think Klopp, if he won the lottery, he'd be still shopping in Aldi. He's that type of manager. He wouldn't go near Harrods or M&S or anywhere. You know what I mean? He's that type, isn't he? As you say, we find lumps of coal on the ground turned into diamonds, and there's not many people can do that. Yeah. I know Michael Edwards and Fallows and Hunter, the scouts at Liverpool, the head scouts, of course, are huge in the whole thing. But I was just watching the thing. We will be on Twitter all the time, Steve, as you do be as well. If you've seen the table, the net spend table over the last, since Klopp was there, that's just ridiculous. Could Pep do that? I don't think so. Could Tuchel do that? I don't think so. Could Ole do that? Definitely not. So for me, Klopp by far is the best manager. There's no doubt about it. And will we win the league? I'm not going to come out here and just say, yes, we will win the league. It's going to be tough. I think City probably favourites. You'd have to have City as slight favourites, especially if they sign Kane. If they sign Kane, I think they will be favourites. Yeah. They've Grealish there. They've a good squad. United will be better this season. Chelsea are European champions. I think Lukaku's close to signing as well. I think the rest are gone, and it's Liverpool in there. We might still throw a little nugget in here or there. But if our squad, as I said earlier, if our squad can stay fit, I'll be happy with what we got at the moment, guys. I really will. I'll be confident.
It's absolute madness. It's absolute madness to say that, Chelsea are getting Lukaku for £110 million just to buy him back. Wow. I remember Man United sold Paul Pogba, I think, for, was it 500k to 800k to Juventus, and then they got him back for about £90 million as well. Look, the thing is, I said this earlier on Cop On. I'm a usual guest on the Cop On podcast. With Manchester City, it's one or two ways. You can play the best football, you can pass teams to death, but if you don't have a recognised striker to put the ball in the back of the net, you're going to struggle. I think City are lacking a potent threat up front. Jack Grealish is a good signing, don't get me wrong, but he is not Sergio Aguero.
No.
And I think City could struggle. And if I'm being honest, I can't see anyone paying 160 million for Harry Kane, which is absolutely ludicrous.
I can see Man City paying that because they're lunatics. And Kane is able, as they said. But I think Kane. I think Kane will go to see. I think it's you like that, didn't you, Steve? That was a biblical term.
If I'm being honest, Dave, and I think everyone will probably agree with me, Harry Kane should not be playing for Spurs until the transfer window shuts, because all it's going to do is going to distract him, it's going to distract his form, it's going to distract Spurs, and we can all, if this was a Paul Pogba, if this was a Mo Salah, if this was a Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, if this was a Timo Werner, if this was a Kai Havertz, and they were like, oh, we want to put a transfer request in, the media would completely try and get all these players out of England. So the fact that it's Harry Kane, the England captain, what do the media do? Keep quiet.
That's very true.
A lot of Man United fans have. Yeah, a lot of Man United fans have kind of brought this on. Sorry.
Go on, mate. Carry on.
Yeah, so a lot of Man United fans have brought that up as well. That if it was Pogba that was doing this, Pogba would have been the character assassination would have been on incredible levels, and because it's Kane, it kind of slips under the radar a little bit. But yeah,
I think he's been poorly advised, hasn't he? His brother, his brother is his agent. And that never works. It never worked with Nicolas Anelka. His brother priced him out with a move for Liverpool. It never worked with Gini Wijnaldum because his brother's his agent too, and he got priced out of re-signing a contract. These guys are poorly advised. What Harry Kane's doing at the moment is dangerous to his career. Yeah. But I agree with Dave. If Manchester City sign Harry Kane, he's going to get 50 goals next season because they create ridiculous amount of chances. Yeah. And someone said he's not an Aguero. No, he's not an Aguero.
He's different.
He's more ruthless than Aguero. He's got a better conversion rate than Aguero. What Aguero did for me, and I'm not going to spend too long on this because this is a Liverpool pod, is he took City from there to there, and he took them across the line and helped them to become winners. Harry Kane's a different kettle of fish altogether. Harry Kane is a proper centre forward. If they sign him for 125 million, 130 million, and they go on and win the Champions League, that catapults Manchester City to a whole new level they don't even understand at the moment. Yeah. Then it's money well spent. So we'll leave the Manchester City analysis there, boys, if you don't mind.
Just before you go on. Harry Kane has a gold medal for diving as well from the Olympics. He's done well this season.
Trust you. So I thought you were going to come up with something.
He ran. He's disappeared.
Look what you've done. You scared him off. Absolutely mental. So whilst we're on the subject, before we move on to the next topic, Lionel Messi. You can't have a pod this week without talking about Lionel Messi. And I'm talking about the Barcelona situation. Doug, what on earth's going on at Barcelona, mate?
I think, to be very, very polite and excuse my French, but they are up shit creek without a paddle. I'm sorry to say, but they really, really are. I actually think loads of teams will actually want to play them in the Champions League. There's even talk that they need to get more wages off their wage bill as well, for the new signings to play. If they don't do that before a certain date, I think, then the new signings cannot play until January. That is absolutely madness, but it's Barcelona's fault. If they keep paying wages after wages, so much money on these players, then unfortunately you're going to be in a very, very sticky position as far as Messi is concerned. If he was that committed to Barcelona, he would have took a pay cut and stayed. The fact that he's going to PSG and he's going to get £50 million per year, it just kind of says that he's gone for the money, gone for the money. But it's sad that he's leaving Barcelona. But I think this has been coming for 3, 4, maybe 5 seasons. He's clearly not happy at Barcelona. He was not happy at Barcelona. Like he kept trying to get out in the summer, as well. But if he was that committed to Barcelona, he would have took a pay cut. But the fact he didn't just says it all.
Well, apparently investigated all avenues of keeping him. He could live off his sponsorship alone and still earn more than everybody in football other than Cristiano Ronaldo. I think that's fair to say. They're crocodile tears the other day on the video, absolutely. It's the end of an era. 35 trophies at Barcelona. For me, he's only Maradona is better than Messi and well ever in terms of being the GOAT. Maradona was ridiculous for me. He moves on. He goes to Paris Saint-Germain for £747,000 a week. Don't forget, Barcelona paid his tax after his little excursion with the taxman in Spain. So it's a crazy amount of money. What now for La Liga, Rack? They've lost Ronaldo. They're losing Messi. They've lost their 2 pin-up boys. European football's on its knees at the moment. I think we're in for a long period of Premier League dominance in European competition because I really wanted the 2 Milan sides to force their way back into European reckoning because it would be good for world football. Sounds like Inter Milan are in a similar position to Barcelona in terms of they've got to sell and they've got to sell lots. So What do you see? What's happening with La Liga? Is it going to go into obscurity for a period?
Well, I mean, I did think that after the Ronaldo and Messi peak era, I did question how long, because they've elevated La Liga and the teams in La Liga to a different level. Don't get me wrong; they've always been able to attract top quality players, but I think the difference is when you've got two, not even generational talents, like historical talents, like Ronaldo and Messi, it's difficult to compete because Messi's the best player in the world, and he's a genius. I know what you're saying about the crocodile tears, Steve, but even if he doesn't need to play for free, but he can still be upset about leaving. So I wouldn't necessarily go as far as that, but I think La Liga is in a real difficult situation because La Liga want to sell 10% of their future revenue, 50% for $2.2 billion or 2.2 billion euros. The problem is they need 2/3 of a majority to get that through, but Barca and Real Madrid don't want to lose 10% of their future revenues, understandably, for the next 50 years, because I mean, even though they're in a bad situation, they have got the revenues and stuff to recover when the economy recovers. So it's a very, very difficult situation. It's a weird one because do you remember when the first COVID lockdown happened and people were talking about null and void, and there were clubs like West Ham were in the bottom three saying let's null and void it, and because obviously there's self-interest involved. Now the top 6 or 7 who are all fighting for Europe and stuff like that, none of them came out and said let's null and void it. So you have a situation where clubs that may not have been in the Premier League for very long, or basically have equal power, or collectively have more power than people who've been in the Premier League for since its inception, and who maybe have got more of a view into the long term. Whereas West Ham are basically potentially just looking, in that instance, they're just looking to get through to next season, and you have this real balance of long term and short term thinking, because these small clubs they need the money now, so. Yeah, it's a mess and it's very complicated, and it'll be interesting to see how it pans out. But I think the Premier League, along with Bayern Munich and PSG, are in a prime position to capitalise.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put a question out there to you guys, and any of you feel free to answer it. So Barcelona is a supporter-owned club. It doesn't have a board in the same way owners like Liverpool do or Manchester United do. It's owned by fans who are stakeholders. Does that need to change? Is my first question. Do they actually need to look at selling out to an oil prince or an oligarch, or do they sell the naming rights to the Camp Nou, which would be absolute sacrilege? Because those of you that have been around long enough know that when it was mooted that they should have a sponsor on their shirts, there was mutiny on the streets of Catalonia. And then it was UNICEF, and that was the thing that kind of
for kids, for children,
and that was the kind of thing that paved the way to all of the stuff they've got on there now. Is it time for a change in the way that they run their club, and is it time to consider selling the naming rights to the Camp Nou?
Well, I think what they should do is sack their accountants. That's what they should do. They made a complete bollocks of it. Let's be fair, guys. Mismanagement financially, wasn't it? The wages just didn't add up. The wages they were paying the guys, some of the guys didn't even kick the ball, around about 100 grand a week. Even with Coutinho, he signed Liverpool. What was it, 120, 130 million? Ridiculous.
142.
142. There you go. So,
Ridiculous,
dart scores. 180 dart scores here. So, for me, the accountants and the financial area should be looked at big time. The naming rights is a big one, but as you know, it's a real sore point for them, whether they do that or not. But they might be forced into doing something like that. They might just have to do it. Maybe even do it for 10 years or something to get them out of a hole, rather than do it forever. Just get them out of a hole and rebuild. I don't know whether the Spanish, the FA in Spain would allow an oligarch to come in, because Madrid are more or less run by the Spanish state. You know what I mean? By the king of Spain. You might as well say that's the state-run club, really, isn't it? I think they're in trouble, Barcelona. I really are. Not only have they lost Messi, and Messi was going to go at some stage. He's 34. He was going to go at some stage. But even if Messi would have stayed, I still think they were in trouble. You know what I mean? They're in trouble long term, I think.
Put it this way, Dave, I would not advise Barcelona to rely on Martin Braithwaite, who is who is their going to be their striker this season. And Griezmann, I think they're trying to get off the wage books. They're trying to get Pjanic off the wage books. I think they've actually asked Pjanic and there's somebody else. I can't exactly. Umtiti, yeah, to basically rip up their contracts, but they're like, nah, you've paid us that money. We will run down our contracts. So
they've been on the phone to Winston Bogarde, mate. Winston Bogarde said, "No, you don't do that. Do what I did at Chelsea. Sit on the reserves and take the money."
And as you said, Madrid is run by a king. Madrid is run by a deluded old man. So there we go.
Well, there you go. And another reason, the Super Six, the famous European Super League, you could see the reason why Barcelona, Madrid, and Juve, who are all leaking money, wanted to be involved in that, couldn't you? Because they'd no bloody money. Of course, they wanted to be involved.
Exactly right. And I've been a Liverpool fan for 4 decades. And Barcelona now at their most vulnerable and the weakest point I've ever seen them at ever in my life, and it's staggering to think that a club of that size and that magnitude that dominated European football with that great side in the mid 2000s with Xavi, Iniesta, Messi, Ito, the names run on and on and on, don't they? Ronaldo, Brazilian Ronaldo, all those players.
I don't necessarily think that they're that far. If they can shed some of these wage bills, and it may take a while for them to do it. Liverpool have been turned around by FSG in a financial sense. Other people may argue on other senses, perhaps not. But if you get sensible people in there, obviously it's like an oil tank. It does take time, but at the same time, if it takes 3, 4, 5 years, but Barcelona ultimately come out as a better club, I think that's fair enough. And they have got, I think they make in terms of turnover, they have the highest turnover of any club in the world. So, it's obviously the problem is their cost base. But if they can get their cost base under control, easier said than done, of course. But I think these things can turn around. But we'll see. It will be interesting.
But the problem is their fan base have been so used to winning things. If they go 2, 3, 4 years without winning anything, you'll have a problem on your hands as well, won't you?
How long do you guys see Koeman lasting as manager? I
not long. Christmas.
I think if Barcelona start really poorly, I think he's gone.
Yeah. I think as long as he wants to stay, he stays, purely because they can't afford A, to pay him off, and B, they can't afford to pay any other club compensation for taking their manager. So I think Koeman's got sort of an open-ended window until times change for Barcelona. That's a really interesting point. Who in their right mind pays Antoine Griezmann? He's on £695,000 a week. That is absolutely ridiculous. That's insane. That's our crazy. That's our 4 or 3 top earners, and then Trent, and that's the same money for him.
The problem is that Barcelona now have to cut their wage bill to €200 million. That's 2/3 of ours. That's like the equivalent of basically Everton. That's what they have to do this season to be able to register new players. So you're absolutely right. I think even losing Messi, I think they've got to 95% of the target that they need to get to. They need to get to 70% or something. So they've still got a fair number of people they need to move off before they can even register, like the likes of Aguero and these guys.
Well, here's an interesting one for you. Apparently, Aguero has instructed his lawyers to get his contract torn up because he doesn't want to stay at Barcelona because Messi's gone.
And he's injured. Well, he's injured for 8 weeks. He's injured.
Yeah. How can you not play and get get injured? That's
he's injured.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. He was playing PlayStation. He's like Naby Keita, gets injured playing PlayStation.
Absolutely. I mean, it technically probably could get his contract tore up because he's not been registered with La Liga. So in essence, it's a contract in principle because they can't register him. So that'd be an interesting one to see. So just to close on the Messi situation, it's got to be only PSG that can afford to pay that kind of money, isn't it? Surely it's got to be only them that can afford it.
Well, unless like someone in Saudi Arabia offers them very, very high money, because I know that Mateus Pereira, I think the West Brom player, well, obviously ex-West Brom, is now going to Saudi Arabia. So there's obviously some teams in Saudi Arabia have got money to spend. So, but apart from that, I can only see PSG signing them.
That's an awful career move. I thought Pereira did well last season. I think he got 11 assists and 7 goals. I thought he was a real bright spot for West Brom. I would have thought a team in this league would have taken a punt on him purely because he's delivered in a season when let's be honest, when Fat Sam's your manager, you haven't really got much hope, have you? But I can't stand that bloke. But he basically, he delivered. I wouldn't have been disappointed to have seen him come to us. Because I think you've got sort of a Coutinho scenario there where he's delivered and no one really knows what he's capable of.
Yeah.
Yes, rates for about £12 million a week, apparently.
Yep.
What?
Money over there is absolutely obscene.
There's not quite that much.
It's 12 million a week.
No.
It's basically another China situation. Players going to China. It'll probably be like players going to Qatar and then Saudi Arabia. But yeah, I absolutely agree with what Steve said. I think Matheus Pereira going to Saudi Arabia at the age of 25 is ridiculous.
Yeah. The other thing is, guys, before he came off the Barcelona thing, which I think we're finished with now with Messi, of course, they should have put in the headlines when Barcelona were in so much trouble and Messi was leaving, of course, it just said, it's getting messy. Simple as that. It's getting messy at Barcelona.
Dave, you're wasted. You're wasted. You need to work in media marketing or something. That you're absolutely wasted.
Oh, stop.
Absolutely right, guys. We're come towards the end of the show, but I just want to have a little chat about. Obviously, you can't not have the last show prior to the season, and really interested to know because Henderson's back, Thiago played tonight, Fabinho played tonight, Harvey Elliott's pulling up trees, Curtis Jones tonight just looked like he was getting the lumps kicked out of him, and he didn't fancy it, so he went off. I want to go around the room, round robin, and we'll start with you, Rack. Who you playing in that midfield? And Keita's back at the mix as well, mate. So who would you go with on Saturday?
So I think the team that played yesterday, the whole team, is the team that starts. Apart from obviously Tsimikas coming in for Robbo, I think there's a reason why Klopp has played these two teams separately in the last couple of warm-up games, and so for me it'll be Harvey Elliott, surprisingly, Keita and Millie. I think it's a bit of a gamble because the only downside I'd say from yesterday was that the couple of times we pressed and we overexposed ourselves and got turned, and Norwich are a football playing team. If they're anything like they were when they won the Premier League a couple of seasons ago, that's how Daniel Farke plays football. So I think that will be a starting lineup, and that will be the starting midfield.
Excellent. Anyone disagree with that? Anyone got any different selections?
Well, I could give you the whole 11 if you really want, but I mean, like,
go on. No, go on. Do it.
I'll give you
5:30.
the start. What? Oh, 5:30 on Saturday. Okay, well, Alisson's a goal. You'll have Kanate and Matip. You'll have Tsimikas and you'll have Trent. You'll have Fabinho because he will not play to an attacking midfield away from home. He just doesn't risk it at all. He always has to have a holding player there. You'll have Milner, who's another one, and possibly Keita. And then you'll have Jota, Salah, and Mane. I think Bobby be on the bench.
Doug, respond to that.
I would probably agree, but I've got the feeling that Harvey Elliott starts. I really do. I think it will be Alisson, Tsimikas, Kanate, Matip, Trent, Fabinho, Keita, Elliott, and then Salah, Jota, Mane. I think that's the starting 11.
That's really bold, that midfield, because what you've got there potentially is when the chips are down and you're running back towards your own goal, you're not really looking at Elliott and Keita to give you too much. That's an awful lot of responsibility on Fabinho's shoulders.
Klopp doesn't risk. He just doesn't risk. He doesn't play games of cards, does he? He rarely does it. He loves having that midfield away from home that just, protects the back four, especially with Kanate probably in his debut as well, I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
The only reason I doubt is I don't really know why he wouldn't have then played Kanate and Matip together more, apart from I think the very first pre-season game. And Van Dijk obviously got 72 odd minutes and potentially will get a full game. Is going to be ready for a full game. It'll be for me. That sounds like a bit of an odd one. The strange one for me would be playing Milner in if I'm right, playing Milner in midfield along with Elliott and Peter. That would be a massive surprise. Is a massive surprise, and I wouldn't necessarily do it myself. But Fabinho's just come back from, only relatively recently came back from the what's it called? Even though he didn't play, he was away for
Copa America,
a good few weeks. Yeah, Copa. Exactly. So. Copa America, yeah. So that's kind of why I've gone with that. We'll see.
I tell you what I think, guys. And
I've
just
been
my
wrong many
thoughts
times
on
before.
Oh, we're all guilty of that, pal. I think the thing we need to worry about, and it's the same with Leeds last season. This game is not a game Norwich expect to get anything from. It's a return to the Premier League. It's Liverpool coming to town. They're expecting a big gate. They'll be relaxed. They'll be told to enjoy it. They'll just go out and play football. Teams like that are dangerous because it's the teams that genuinely believe they've got something to play for that play with a little bit of fear, a little bit of reticence, a little bit guarded, and stop opening up. I think Norwich will come out and have a game of football with us. They're not getting relegated if they lose to Liverpool, by the way. So it doesn't matter. Freebie. That
can suit us. That can suit us as well, Stedo. I mean, if teams open up against us, it suits our style as well. So I mean, I'd be more worried about going to the likes of Burnley where they're not going to open up. To be fair, I like going to the likes of Norwich. Even without Suarez, I like going there. So
I think the thing about obviously Norwich is that they will. I don't think they've got enough to survive. They're a bit like a yo-yo club, really. They always seem to come up and then they always seem to go back down. I think we need to watch Billy Gilmore. I think if he is fit, I think Billy Gilmore starts in the midfield for Norwich. I think it's a very good signing for Norwich, and I think he'll do well. The other one to look out for, I think, I don't know if he'll start, but is Rashika from Werder Bremen. Yeah. He was very, very good for Werder Bremen when they got relegated. So he'll be one to watch, and obviously Pukki is one to watch as well.
Cantwell's a good player unless he goes to Villa. He's a good player.
Yeah, there is talk that he could be going to Villa. But another one, I believe, Josh Sargent, the American. Yeah. I believe he's signed for Norwich as well. So again, they've got some good players.
He's really quick. Sargent.
Yeah, I think the only worry for me at Norwich, I think the back line and the goalkeepers, I think, are aging slightly. Max Aarons is still there. Whether he'll still be there by the end of the window is another matter. But it'll be a very interesting game. I just think Norwich have got good players, but just not good enough to stay in this league, unfortunately.
So you see them going back down?
Yep, I do.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think they've got their work cut out. I think Fulham were full of endeavour, weren't they? And I thought for a period Fulham might do it, especially when they drew against Man United and played them off the park for the last 15 minutes. They'd had a bit more self-belief. They might have won games, but I get what you say. Cantwell is a decent player. Is Cantwell going to get the better of someone like Fabinho? I don't think so. Our front three will be too much for Norwich. That's the way I see it. They're too much for anybody on their day, and I don't necessarily agree with Dave's comments. That's fine. I think Bobby plays. I think Bobby Firmino will start alongside the usual two, left and right. I just think he'll go with him because, as I said before, Klopp's definitely got a Bobby tattoo somewhere, mate, because the love he's shown that guy when he really should have been taken out of the firing line, he's left him in there, and he looks sharp tonight. And you just don't know. All players go through seasons of indifference. I know Bobby's been through a bit longer than a season of indifference, but if that player that came from Hoffenheim, that intensity, that willingness to work comes back into the squad, then we'll all love him the way that we do anyway. But he'll be right back at the forefront of our mind. He's a tremendous player when he's on form. Tremendous player.
No, but as you say, actually, Jota's probably even better from the bench in a way. I mean, he came on in games at the start of last season and won us games. He was the difference coming on. Remember Sheffield United, we were 1-0 down, came on and scored 2 goals. Stuff like that. You could think of it that way. And when Bobby scored a second goal tonight, I could see Klopp going like this on the telly. So maybe. He was happy.
I always reach out to the guys in the room to throw some comments at us now for us to answer questions in the last 10 minutes. But before we do any of you favour 4-2-3-1? Because I've got to be honest with you, I can't stand it. I think it really stifles us.
No, 4-3-3 all day long for me.
4-3-3.
It's just the way.
Yeah.
He won't change it.
Yep.
Won't change it.
No, I hope not. It's just the reason why I say that is Ravi's asked who's our number 10. Well, typically we would know we don't play with the number 10. When we play the 4-2-3-1, Bobby is almost a 10, but almost an 8. He's kind of a bit of a nothing position, really, isn't it? And it doesn't really work. And I think we get congested because the space that Mane and Salah want to use is occupied by that body right up high against the back line. So I don't want to see that. So here we go. Here's a question for you, Dave. Do you want to take that one?
Would you risk not getting Saul just to get Vjolovic as a Valovic? Is that guy Fiorentina? Is it he's the guy who scored 7 goals in a pre-season?
That's him.
Yeah, do you know what? There's a lot of talk about that guy. I think Doug knows an awful lot about him, but I don't know. Saul is like proper pedigree type of player. Your man Vjolovic, whatever his name is a bit more one for the future, I think, probably. Where Saul is probably more ready-made, and I think we need ready-made at this stage.
There is talk that apparently Atletico Madrid are in advanced talks to sign him, so I think that might be one to go under the radar. So I think he'll be away to Atletico.
Atletico Madrid, they're like in €1 billion worth of debt. Like, I don't know what the hell they're doing buying a €70 million player, but anyway.
It's football is the only world, isn't it, where you can be like €1 billion in debt, but because your assets cover your debt, they'll let you carry on trading. Anyone else would be shut down and liquidated.
It's like United, Man United, the exact same thing. What are 700 million in debt or something? But because of their assets are worth over that, they're okay.
Yeah, Rack. I'll give that one to you.
I don't think so. I mean, I know it's been a bit of an experiment. I was impressed with Ox today. I haven't seen Ox dribble like that in a long time, and he looked like he had a bit of acceleration. Hopefully, the knee injury he had was really serious. So if he's anywhere back to that level of explosiveness, that bodes well. That
brilliant.
Because if not, then I was thinking of I'd seriously consider selling him, to be honest, but. Let's see the guys who see him day in day out know better than
steady on.
I don't think he's a false 9.
I just think he gives us something different, Rack. I mean, as you said, I haven't seen him dribble like that since he was 6 months old. I mean, he was really good tonight, though. He was decent tonight. It was one of his better games tonight. And he's a great option. He's a great option. I think he's a good option.
Yeah. If that's the player we're getting this season, then 100%. Because he looked impressive. I just didn't think he really did much last season. But you got to give him the benefit of the doubt. And I guess Klopp and the medical team, they'll if anybody knows what he's going to be capable of, they will have been taking all his measurements and checking all his numbers and stuff like that. So they'll know whether he is on the decline or not. So we'll see. But I was just he's seen the shadow of his former self last season. That's why.
I don't think he's so much a false 9. I think the rotation between his position and Salah's position, what the pair of them switch around a little bit, it's really clever. Because you never know which one of them's going to appear where. Ox is quite happy to drift out slightly wider, and we've seen Mo play through the centre before. I don't think you could ever ask him to do what Bobby did, because he hasn't got that in his locker. Bobby's a unique player in that regard, on top when he's on his game. So I think it'll be an interesting one. I think he'll play further up the pitch. I think there were times last season when he got the ball and hit a 60-yard Hollywood ball straight down the throat of the defence we were playing against, and then got hooked by the manager 30 seconds later. So I can see Klopp using him in a more advanced role, but certainly not as a false 9. I think that perhaps is probably giving him a tag that doesn't warrant. Doug, this is a difficult question, but I'm going to put it from a Liverpool point of view rather than overall. Valve has asked this.
Ooh. Jeez. Right. Player of the year, I can guarantee will be Kevin De Bruyne, because no matter how poor or how well he plays, they always seem to give it to Kevin De Bruyne. I think Kevin De Bruyne will get that. Young player of the year, I think
Phil Foden again.
I think it'd probably be someone like a Jadon Sancho or someone like that. I mean, you'd probably put if it's on a Liverpool perspective, I would say probably like
Elliot.
Elliot. I would say Harvey Elliott. I would say Harvey Elliott as well.
E.T. exciting teenager.
But being realistic, I think you are a mad one, Dave. Honestly.
I'm actually calm today. Sorry.
I would say Player of the Year, Kevin De Bruyne. Young Player of the Year, I would probably say a Jadon Sancho or someone like that.
Fair enough. Dave, I'll give you this one.
Oh, well, Young Player of the Year I think that guy Foden at City is just, except for the haircut that he had, the haircut that he has is just, this guy is going to be next level. I think for
Can I be honest with you? I do not like Phil Foden now. He's got such a big ego. I'm do not like him.
I'm not on about his ego. I'm on about his football skills. I don't care what he's like.
His football skills are very, very good. But see his attitude, see his ego, getting all these blooming haircuts. Who's he think he is? Paul bloody Pogba or Paul bloody Gascoigne?
They're all doing the haircuts. Harvey Elliott's great in his lovely curly locks as well. So I wouldn't worry about that. Now, I think Foden, someone like him, maybe Sancho as well. Sancho. At Jordan or Jadon Sancho at United, possible, but I think Foden is just different level. Player of the Year, Senior Player of the Year is a bit more. There's a possibility. I'm going to throw it out there, and it hasn't happened yet. But if Kane goes to City and stays fit and gets his 50 goals that Steve says he's going to get, I think he'd be up there or thereabouts. Player of the Year.
Yeah.
Whilst you're talking, Dave, have a look at that comment on screen. Tell me what you think about what those two guys are going to do this, and more importantly. Tell me what you think about Thiago, because I don't think we signed him to play the level of games he played last season, or certainly all 90 minutes when he did play. What do you see for Thiago next season?
Well, I just want to see Thiago on the pitch. That's what I want to see. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, you look at our midfield, our preferred midfield, as you would call it. Thiago, Fabinho, Hendo. They're not exactly young lads. They're injury prone, let's say. Let's be fair. So, Klopp will try to play those three in the big games, the Uniteds, the derbies, the big Champions League games. But will they play every game? No, they won't. They just won't be able to. They just won't be able to play them. So, Thiago, for me, I mean, we've seen what he can do. I mean, this guy is different level. I mean, we just the end of last season, and when he started off that game against Chelsea, we won 2-0. He came on, controlled the bleeding game. The Everton game, before the injury, was just Thierry unreal. And then, so for me, I just think Thiago will probably play about 70% of the time. If we can rest him at key times, if we can rest Hendo as well at key times. Fabinho, this is what it's about, having a big squad. Yeah. I think we've got the luxury now. We have a decent sized squad now for the first time in a long time, probably ever. This is the first time Klopp's had a decent squad that he can rest key players, and I'm hoping for a big season of Thiago. And Taki could be, a little bonus, a little Brucey bonus thrown in there. I mean, he was brilliant tonight. He was brilliant the other day.
Yeah, he was.
Minamino, we got him for nothing. Was it 7 or 8 million? Yeah. It was a no-brainer signing for me. If it didn't work, it didn't matter, because you still get double that for him at least. So Minamino, I actually would keep Minamino around. I wouldn't send him back out on loan around. I'd actually keep him. I'd keep him there, and I'm hoping he won't play many games. He won't start many games, but certainly as an impact, I'm hoping for some sort of an impact from Taki. I'm confident, lads.
I am too. Rack, LRB Rams, even though played in midfield, I prefer Elliott out wider, give him more space and let him do his thing and stretch their fullbacks. Does that fit in with what you think about Elliott, or would you rather do something else with him?
Look, big up Rams, first of all. I haven't seen enough of Elliott, to be honest. I've seen the pre-season games, and I didn't really watch him at Blackburn, so it's difficult for me to comment. From what I've seen, he looks like a capable attacker, and he looks good on one-on-ones. So Rams may well be right, but I'm not in a position to comment. So it's what I said doesn't really make any difference.
Well, as long as his development carries on this season, I think that's the main thing. So before we close, we'll do a round robin around the room, see what you think the score will be, and who's likely to find the back of the net at the weekend. So we'll start with you, Dave. Little prediction and goal scorers if you've got them.
Oh, straight away. 2-0 Liverpool. Mane, Mo Salah, the king of Egypt. 2-0.
Follow that, Doug.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 2-0 as well. I'm gonna go for Kanate to get a debut goal, and I'm gonna go Mo Salah.
Go on, Rack.
Yeah, look, why not go 2-0 as well? And it will be Mane. Sorry, it will be Salah. And one thing we missed a hell of a lot last season: the goals from set pieces. Virgil van Dijk. So Salah and Van Dijk score two goals.
I'm going 4-1. I think Liverpool will take out the frustrations of last season in the first game and put a real marker down. I think Salah will get a couple, Mane will get one, and then there'll be a defender will score from potentially a corner, like you say. But before we go, LRB Rams has got another good question I'm going to give to Doug before we sign off. I love that. If you lot sign two realistic players, a midfielder and forward, who would it be? Yeah, that makes me laugh. That. So, Doug, go on. Before we go, give us the benefits of your wisdom. Who would that be, realistically?
Realistically, geez. I would say realistically probably a Saul or a Neuhaus, I would say. Forward, I honestly don't know. I think it could be. I was going to say. I honestly don't know about forwards. I really
just say
Mbappe.
Just say Mbappe.
That's not realistic though. Tammy Abraham, no way would I want him. He has basically the way you could describe Tammy Abraham, that he is one of the most feared strikers to not being able to chest the ball down. He cannot chest the ball down to save himself. I would say Pedro Neto as a forward.
Yeah, I like him. I like him. Yeah.
You know what? That's a great shout, and that'll do for me.
He's injured, isn't he? Neto's a good player.
He's rehabilitating from a serious knee injury. Before we close, guys, I just want to kind of get from you where we find you. I'm just going to get rid of that thing on screen. 1 second. So, Dave, tell us where we can find you and what you're up to, and where we might see you next.
Everywhere. Everywhere and anywhere. Dave's LFC Chats on Twitter and Instagram and on YouTube. I'll be everywhere and loads of podcasts this week. Just a big, huge build-up to the Premier League. And, of course, Liverpool at Carrow Road on Saturday. Cannot wait, guys. Really confident. And just before I go, other news there just on Twitter that Robbo looks like it might be only a 2 or 3 week thing. So that's good news for the Reds. It's not as serious as we thought.
Excellent. Rack, where can we get you?
On Twitter @Raxing1, and then on YouTube, usually on the terrace, football terrace with Terry and the boys, Rams, Indiana, and the crew over there. Here, obviously, and Twitter Space. I am always about at 2:00 in the morning chatting about Liverpool and other nonsense. So yeah, catch me there.
For those of you that don't know, Rack is a frequent appearer on Hussam's Spaces, and they are absolutely mental. Dom Hussam's Spaces they go on for like 5 hours, and they're wild. So if you haven't checked them out, it's worth popping in for 5 minutes just as a spectator, and then go away and try and figure out the meaning of life, because they're absolutely mental, those things. But they're absolutely brilliant as well. Doug, where can we get you and what you up to?
You can find me on the Dugout Football channel. I will have Mr. Dave's LFC Chats on Thursday. We are recording the Friday LFC Focus because I am sadly working on Friday. So what we're going to do is we're going to pre-record it and then actually put it out as a live video on StreamYard, because you can actually do that now. So we'll be pre-recording on Thursday. Obviously, there's no Scottish football this week. I think there's a Scottish Cup anyway, but Bundesliga predictions are coming to the channel as well. So that'll be something to look out for as well. It's on Sky. But you can find me on Instagram at Douglas Dalhorn, and you can find me on Twitter at Enrod_1992, and you can find me on Facebook, Douglas James Horn.
Perfect.
Woo.
You'll get me at my on screen there. You'll find me here on a Monday night. You'll also find me on Friday evenings hosting the Premier League Rivals show on Usman Talks Manchester United. I have a fan from the top 6, so potentially 6 of us, and we just rip each other to bits. It's good fun, it's high energy, and it's definitely worth checking out. But guys, if you haven't subscribed to First 11, please do so. Big moves, big shows, lots of changes, grounded football for all of the top 6 clubs coming out of this. This is like my 4th or 5th episode. It's really cool being here. I really enjoy it. The guests make everything worthwhile. And once again, big up to the guys in the chat, because you give us the energy and you give us the comments to laugh at and to share with and to talk about. I say it every week, but without the chat, we don't have the energy we've got right now. So thanks for everyone for coming in.
Cheers, lads. Stay
Cheers.
safe.